Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to French Dip Empire. I am the Empress, and we have quite a development in the case of Marius Borg Hoiby, the son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway. And it turns out that Marius was arrested, and the charges are pretty serious. Of course, they are only allegations at the moment. He has not been convicted or sentenced for this specific crime that he has been accused of. Oh, thank you, Movie of the Week in the chat. You can hear me. That's great. They are very serious allegations, and they are not the kind of thing that you would probably want to hear about around children, or if you are sensitive to certain topics. I will try to keep the language as careful as possible, both for YouTube purposes and for the sensitivities of any listeners, but there is really no way to avoid the seriousness of this allegation. So I will move over here, and this is the person we are talking about. The man in the middle of the picture here, the blonde man, is Marius. This is his mother, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, and this is his stepfather, Crown Prince Haakon of Norway. And if you are watching this stream, you probably are familiar with these people already. But in case you are new to the subject, let me just show you here the family tree for the Norwegian royal family. I have been using this family tree from People Magazine's website for the past, now this is our third stream. And if you want a little more detailed information about the case of Marius Borg Hoiby, I would recommend you go back and check out those two streams. The first stream was all about Marius and the trouble that he's been in lately, because this is not his first arrest. And the background of both he and his mother, and where he came from, and how he's gotten into this trouble, which involves inappropriate behavior toward his ex-girlfriends and use of not quite legal substances and affiliations with criminal elements. And the second stream that I did covered what had happened in between stream 1 and stream 2, but now we really have a serious charge against Marius. And as you can see here, he is the son of the crown princess from a previous relationship, not marriage, and that makes him the grandson of the current king, Harald V, who is elderly and infirm, and this is quite a strain on, I imagine, his mind, his health, and his reign, because he's also having some difficulties, and not exactly the same allegations that have been made against Marius right now, but in that realm, no pun intended, against his newest son-in-law, the self-proclaimed shaman, Louise, who recently married the king's only daughter, Princess Martha Louise. And we got into a little bit of that at on the second part of stream number 2. But getting back to Marius, now, I have only had a chance to skim these articles, and so I'm going to be reading this or learning some of this as new as anyone who is listening to me speak right now. So here we go. This is the first article. And again, you can, if you have eyes to look at your screen, you can read what I can't say outright, but I will talk around it, and I think we'll all understand what's going on. Marius Borg Hoiby, son of Norwegian Crown Princess Mette-Marit, is arrested on suspicion of the very serious essaying of someone. I think we get what I'm saying here. The 27-year-old Norwegian, who is the stepson of the future king, is suspected of violating the criminal code, which concerns a specific activity with someone who is unconscious or for other reasons unable to resist the act, the statement said. Authorities said in a statement that Marius, who was born from a relationship prior to his mother's 2001 marriage to Crown Prince Haakon, had been arrested Monday evening. Okay, so that was not actually today that he was arrested, since I am recording or streaming this on Tuesday. So this was last night. What police can say about the or I guess it's alleged is that it concerns a certain kind of act without, how should I say this? Say act of marital conjugation, even if there is no marriage, the conjugal act, even if there is no marriage, I suppose that would be okay language to use. That one specific thing, the one act that can result in pregnancy. There are other kinds of acts one might engage in the land of spiciness. This is that specific one between a man and a woman that could lead to a pregnancy. Or maybe not, but that's the way you would make that happen. Okay, I think you know what I mean. And I'm sorry, it's an odd description of this criminal charge. I guess it's a specific criminal act in Norway. I don't know that it is generally parsed that specifically, or if this is some kind of lost in translation between the Norwegian and the English, but they seem to make it very specific that it involved either being unconscious or somehow not able to resist, and that it was an act that did not specifically involve the kind of act that would make a baby. Okay, is that clear? I hope that's clear. Movie of the week in the chat says, wow, this guy's a real peach. Yes, well, and when you consider this isn't his only, the only crime that he's been alleged to have committed, and he's actually admitted to some of his the other allegations, so not just allegations, but he has not yet been convicted of any of these things, any of the allegations or charges against him. So let's continue with the article. Borg Hoiby was detained on August 4 following a nighttime row at a woman's apartment in Oslo, that's his most recent ex-girlfriend, and accused of causing bodily harm to the resident with whom he was having a relationship, police said. Yes, it was reported that she was hospitalized with a concussion. Norwegian media reports said police found a bladed weapon of the, say, type you would find in a kitchen or would be used by a chef. You get what I mean. I can show you a picture of that if they don't have it in this article specifically. Was stuck into one of the walls of the woman's bedroom at the time. And it was not just any wall of the apartment, it was the bedroom. And you generally don't keep those kinds of bladed implements in the bedroom. So, unless there was some self-defense issue, but I would imagine that this was something that would have had to have been removed from a kitchen and brought into a bedroom, which seems much more threatening, I suppose, than if it had been stuck into the wall of the kitchen. Both are bad, but I suppose one is slightly worse. I don't even know if it's worth making a differentiating between the two. Back to the article, he was arrested again in September for violating a restraining order. And here is Marius in black tie, as you can see. Here is another photo of Marius, and in a previous stream we covered the identity of the man in this photo and his connections to larger organizations and whatnot. Allegedly, I have nothing, no allegations of my own to make against this man who has obviously been anonymized with the pixelations. But if you go back and watch our stream 1, we covered the European tabloids that uncovered who this man was, and the Marius Netwerk, as it was described, network of the people that Marius himself is tied to. And it goes quite deep and dark, but I think this might be the darkest. This recent charge, the R charge, is probably the darkest we've gotten so far. I have to say, I'm not surprised there are additional charges and allegations against Marius, but I honestly did not have this one on my bingo card for the Marius case. Back to the article. According to police, when he was arrested on Monday, he was in a car with the alleged victim from the August incident. Are you kidding me? So he was in a car with his ex-girlfriend, the one, Rebecca, the one from the apartment, and who he also was not supposed, that was the violation of the restraining order. This was the woman he was not supposed to contact, and he violated the restraining order and got in trouble for that, and now he's been arrested again, and he was, also, why is she meeting with him? But who knows what's going on between these people, or was it a setup? Did the police have her meet with him so that they could arrest him? Oh, that's possible. Okay, let's see. On Tuesday, that's today as I'm reading this, police also said the suspicions relating to the August incident now included domestic abuse. Police said they had yet to decide whether he would be remanded in custody. Well, I would think that you should. You've been accused of R. That I think would be worthy of being in custody. And he put a bladed, kitchen implement into a bedroom wall. That also sounds like it would probably be worthy of being in custody. Okay, Hoiby was born in 1997 from a relationship prior to Mette-Marit's 2001 marriage to Crown Prince Haakon, the heir apparent to the Norwegian throne. He is the heir. He and his step-siblings, Princess Ingrid... Well, they're not step-siblings. They're half-siblings. I'm sorry. This is poor the Daily Mail. They get a lot right, but they get a lot wrong, too. They are half-siblings, as you can see from the family tree. They have a mother in common, but different fathers. That's how that goes. Princess Ingrid Alexandra, 20, and Prince Sverre Magnus, 18, were raised together by Mette-Marit and Haakon. Unlike them, He, meaning Marius, has no official public role. The Norwegian royal family was rocked by Hoiby's first arrest at the beginning of August after a woman, Rebecca Helberg Arntzen, was left in hospital with her injuries following the attack. A week after his arrest, Hoiby admitted to the assault on Rebecca, whom he referred to as his girlfriend. Her lawyers have refuted this claim. Okay, so now they're denying that she wasn't even his girlfriend? So then what was their relationship? Friends? Random? They had just met? I'm confused. Everything I've read said that this was his girlfriend, obviously now ex, but I don't... Okay, I'm not clear on what their relationship is then, if not girlfriend. I feel like they must have been dating, or something along those lines. Okay, that's a picture of the police station. And there's Marius and his mother. And there's an older photo of the extended Norwegian royal family on the royal balcony. If you're looking at your screen, this is the king, Harald V. This is his wife, Queen Sonja. You can barely see the king's elderly sister in the back here. That's Marius, Crown Prince Haakon, Crown Princess Mette-Marit. That's a very young Prince Sverre Magnus, a very young Prince Ingrid Alexandra. And back here is Haakon's sister, Princess Martha Louise, with her 3 daughters from her first marriage, who we discussed in yesterday's stream, part 2 of the Scandals of the Norwegian Royal Family. And here another photo, Haakon, Mette-Marit, Ingrid, Marius, Sverre, Harald, and Sonja. Obviously a more recent photo, and in this photograph you can see the king walking with 2 leg braces and or crutches, indicating, and this was 2 years ago. You can see he's not in the best condition, so probably not the kind of thing that he would want to deal with at the end of his life and reign. Continuing the article, in a statement issued via his own lawyer, Hoiby said he suffers from several mental disorders, no doubt, and has struggled with substance abuse for a long time, which he said he is resuming treatment for. The statement read, "Last weekend," and this is referring to the August incident, "something happened that should never have happened. I committed bodily harm and destroyed objects in an apartment in the intoxication of alcohol and what we at French Dip Empire call, and other people, but here specifically we refer to it as marching powder, so that we all know what we're talking about. You can read the word on the screen right here. After an argument. I have several mental disorders, which mean that throughout my upbringing and adult life, I have had and still have challenges. I have struggled with substance abuse for a long time, something I have been in treatment for in the past. The substance use and my diagnoses do not excuse what happened in the apartment at Frogner on the night of Sunday last weekend. I want to be responsible for what I have done and will explain myself truthfully to the police. For me, the most important thing is to say sorry to my girlfriend. She deserved neither what happened that night nor the extreme pressure from both the Norwegian and foreign press afterwards." Okay, that's a nice statement. It sounds good, although after his arrest, after we covered on, I think that was stream 1 or stream 2, I think it was in stream 1, Marius was out and about after his first arrest. He was still partying. There was a photograph of him taken where he was holding a case of beer, or a 10-pack, whatever, of beer, and flipping off the camera as he posed next to tabloid magazines with himself and his, troubles on the cover. Not seeming to take it too terribly seriously, and keeping in mind that this took place in August. He's had months to get himself in treatment. And as we covered on yesterday's stream number 2, it appeared as though Marius perhaps was going into rehab as of this past weekend. He and his stepfather, Crown Prince Haakon, were spotted flying to London, and it was thought perhaps this was for rehab purposes. Crown Princess Mette-Marit, his mother, followed along. And then come Monday, they were back in Norway, and it appeared, no, he was not in rehab. So at least he wasn't left behind in London, and it just kind of looked like they went off to London for a quick weekend, jaunt, and perhaps a early Christmas shopping trip. It looked a little not serious, but then boom, now this has happened. He's been arrested on charges of the serious violation of another human being. And was he indeed going to rehab? When I finish this article, I will move on to the Norwegian tabloid articles, and one of them claimed that he was actually arrested on his way to rehab. So let's see what they have to say about that. But continuing this article, I also find it interesting. He mentions having several mental disorders, but none of these, as far as I know, have ever been mentioned or discussed publicly before. Not that he would have to, of course, but being a, sort of member of the Norwegian royal family, you would think that perhaps it could be something that they might want to share with the public. I know mental health has been championed by members of the British royal family. It's one of, I think, Kate and William's pet projects back in the old days when the Fab Four, the Sussexes, I think, joined in with some mental health initiative that the then Cambridge's, now Wales's, were promoting. So, it is a thing that people try to talk about more nowadays. But of course, he being a private person attached to a very public family, perhaps he wanted to keep that quiet. I do wonder what these disorders are specifically, what treatment he has been receiving through his childhood and adult life. And also curious that he mentions treatment for his substances issues. It seems as though it's not just the one, but perhaps a couple, at least. And that has been kept out of the press, apparently, that this was never mentioned. No disappearances of Marius to be explained away to the press. So I wonder what his track record with rehab, when did that start? we learned yesterday by reading an article on Stream 2 that he had been actually arrested for the possession of what we call marching powder while at a music festival in, it was when he was 17, I think it said, when he was 17 years old, so that would have been 10 years ago, unless it was in 2017. I could be mixing it up, but either way, this was years ago. And he was, well, I guess maybe not arrested, but cautioned. He was arrested, but it wasn't reported on by the press until these more recent troubles had begun. And then the press is now coming out and editors are admitting, we covered up, we kept things quiet. Partly that was an agreement between the royal family and the press to try to allow Marius to have some privacy, being that he is not a public figure by choice, and he's not a member, he's not an actual royal member of the royal family. It's so confusing when you have non-royal members of a royal family. What exactly is that? They're of the family, in the family, but not of the family. They're of the family, but not in the family. I guess it works that way. But anyway, sometimes they try to delineate it as, well, they're a member of the family, but not the house. Whatever. They need perhaps better terminology for this sort of thing. But anyway, back to the article, which is giving us a good little summation of what has happened over the past few months with Marius. Mette-Marit's eldest son also apologized to his family for his actions that have greatly affected you. That's putting it mildly. Weeks later, the 27-year-old was taken into custody after breaching a restraining order. The restraining order in question was for the protection of Rebecca Helberg Arntzen, whom Hoiby admitted to assaulting in a booze and a polysubstance-fueled attack on 4 August, which saw him arrested for the first time and held in a police cell overnight. Yes, I think from yesterday's stream, we learned that we could call alcohol adult sodas, although sodas being carbonated, I feel like that's not the best euphemism for alcohol. Adult beverages, I guess that would be appropriate. There's Mette-Marit. Resumed her royal duties following a bout of illness. Yes, I think her illness is she's sick of dealing with her son's problems. I know they have said that she has, I think it's pulmonary fibrosis, and it causes her, damages her lungs, and that she has to take time off from royal duties because of her illness. However, there are some people who think that even if she has this disease or some disease, that perhaps she uses her ill health, or the idea of her ill health, as a way to get out of her public duties that she might not find that much fun, because of course these duties aren't work isn't always fun, is it? That's why it's called work. But it seems as though perhaps she was using the I'm sick excuse to bow out to deal with her, son. And I think they could have just said that, especially since she appears to be the picture of health every time she is pictured out in public, including when she went to London with Håkon and Marius. But, maybe she's just a very good actress. Sometimes we have to pull it together and look like we're doing great on the outside, when on the inside we might feel rather poorly, physically, emotionally, both, as I imagine Mette-Marit might be feeling right about now. Okay, continuing the article. It comes as yesterday his mother, Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway, stepped out looking stylish to attend a concert as she resumed her royal duties following a bout of illness. The 51-year-old was snapped arriving at a concert for the 50th anniversary of record label, oh boy, I did not look up the pronunciation of this. Let's see, Kirkelig Kulturverksted in Oslo on Sunday evening. I tried. She looked cheerful and radiant despite her recent health struggles and her son's situation. I don't think I'd be looking that thrilled if I were in her shoes. And speaking of shoes, thank you for the Daily Mail for giving us a fashion and style update on an article about a man being arrested for the R word. Not that R word, the short one, not the longer one. The crime, not the insult. So I will go on and not mention the fashion, because who cares? Yes. Okay, so they're just talking about Mette-Marit being on sick leave. And yes, pulmonary fibrosis. Okay, and they're talking more about Mette-Marit's health. Okay, so that's that for that article. Now, moving on to the Norwegian tabloids. Here we go. Say a whore. Marius Borg Hoiby arrested on the way to rehab? Okay, well, why am I reading you and not Nettavisen? Claims that Marius Borg Hoiby had plans to travel abroad. And again, bear with me, this news took me quite by surprise, the arrest of Marius Borg Hoiby, the stepson of Crown Prince Håkon of Norway, on charges of the very serious charge of R, 4-letter R word. You know what I mean. And I have not, again, read these articles all the way through. I skimmed them a little bit to see what was going on, but this is as new to me as it may be to you. If this is your first time hearing this information, and if you're listening, please do me a favor and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Share this with anyone that you may think would like to hear about this kind of information. We are French Dip Empire, and I am the Empress, and we do these streams, well, whenever I have a chance, and thank goodness I had a chance to get on and stream now, because breaking news, Marius Borg Hoiby arrested for R. And was he arrested on the way to rehab? Let's see. Let's see what they say. The scandal surrounding Marius Borg Hoiby, 27, will apparently never end. Exactly, my feelings precisely. On Tuesday morning, it became known that the charge against him is being expanded. Hoiby is now charged with breaching Section 291 letter of the Criminal Code, which deals with R. And you can see what that word is right here on your screen if you have eyes to look and you're not just listening. If you're just listening, then I think you know what I'm talking about. Movie of the Week in the chat says, that must have been a scene when they got him. Well, again, he was in a car, supposedly with Rebecca, the maybe ex-girlfriend, maybe not ex-girlfriend, who he is charged with, assaulting in August. And apparently he has admitted to this, even though he has not been convicted of it yet. He has not admitted to doing the R crime, though. So it remains to be seen. Will he fight that charge, or will he admit to it? I have no idea. So let's see. Continuing the article. Paragraph B specifies, I will say, the conjugal act, even without a marriage, okay, with someone who is unconscious or for other reasons is unable to resist the act. In the press release from the police, it is specified that the charge deals with the R word without the conjugal act. Okay, well, that's kind of confusing. That seems contradictory, but I have a feeling this has something to do with the lost in translation between English and Norwegian. So it was an essaying of some kind. Okay. All right. So the woman's lawyer says that it is the police who have opened a case, but that the victim, or I guess alleged victim, has chosen to explain himself. Okay, that's definitely an error in translation. It's herself, and cooperate with the police. And it's been consistent with the translation. I don't know how it works, but whatever the Norwegian word that they are using for, say, girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, it has been consistently translated as boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. To be clear, all of the partners that we're talking about of Marius are female, ex-girlfriends, not boyfriends. So far, haven't heard about any boyfriends so far. Maybe that will come out next. I would not be entirely shocked or surprised, considering everything else that we've been talking about with the scandals in the Norwegian royal family over these past few streams. But so far, it's just women. 3 women, I think, so far, that have accused Marius of some kind of inappropriate behavior, although this is the first time that we have heard a specific charge of R. Okay, continuing the article. Hoiby's lawyer, Øyvind Bratlien, has told VG, that's another news outlet, that his client does not plead guilty to the extended charges. Okay, there's our answer. So Marius is saying he did not do the R. He did not do the R crime. He cooperates well with the police and wants to explain himself, he tells the newspaper. Planned trip abroad. When Hoiby was arrested on Monday evening, he was in a car with the offended woman after the violent incident at Frogner earlier this year. That's the location of the apartment where the incident occurred. To Nettavisen, the ex, it says boyfriend, it should be girlfriend's, legal aid lawyer Mette Yvonne Larsen tells that her client should borrow Hoiby's car as he had a planned trip abroad imminent. Okay. I'm not sure if that's a correct translate. Oh, okay. She needed the car. Right. It said he and it meant she. As I said, there are weird translation errors. She breeds dogs and needed a car. There were purely practical reasons why she was there. I am not aware of whether this is being investigated as a breach of a restraining order, says Larsen to the newspaper. Okay. Nettavisen also claims that Hoiby's planned trip abroad was in connection with a rehabilitation stay for the substance problems he has previously admitted to having had. All right, this is kind of confusing. It says Marius was planning a trip abroad, okay, maybe to go to rehab, if we believe that, possibly. But it also indicates that Rebecca, the maybe ex-girlfriend, needed a car for dog breeding or transporting dogs. This is very confusing. It's also confusing why a lady who was involved with a man who put a bladed implement into her bedroom wall apparently caused a chandelier to come down from the ceiling, had allegedly put her in the hospital with a concussion, and now is being accused of the R crime, is meeting with him to either borrow or lend a car. That doesn't make any sense, but people do very confusing things for very strange motivations, and without proper explanation, I guess I will reserve judgment on that beyond to say it's unusual, it is odd. Especially if the woman is claiming she hasn't actually been his ex-girlfriend. It seems like she was, but whatever. We'll see how this plays out. And here's a picture of Marius with a new mustache. Here he is back in Oslo after a quick trip to London, and if he wanted to make himself look less guilty of creepy crimes, growing a creeper stash was probably not the way to do it. I know this is the least important aspect of this, but if you can see the screen, there's a link to an article up here, which I think is the next article, my next tab to read up here. Dyed his hair and grew a mustache. That's not your typical I'm going to rehab check. I don't think that's on your I'm going to rehab checklist. The last time I checked, changing your appearance is the kind of thing someone does before they're about to, I don't know, go on the lam, run away and try to escape the law. He's a very recognizable gentleman, especially obviously in Norway, but dyeing his hair brown, I guess, from the blonde, his natural blonde, and growing a creeper stash. Sure, it makes him look different, but why would he do that? What? Was he going to run away? What was going on here? Because who was that? There was some American, was it Scott Peterson? Was it that guy? It was Scott Peterson, right? The guy who unalived his wife and pregnant wife, and he was caught. I think he had very dark brown hair, and he had dyed it like frosted blonde looking. And did he grow a facial hair as well? And when he was arrested, they were like, oh, he was trying to escape. He was changing his appearance. He clearly was going to. And I think his excuse at the time was, I was just trying to avoid like attention, like press attention or public attention. I wasn't actually going to go on the lam. But I think they found him with like money or something, and it looked a little sketchy. Anyway, that's what this gives me. This gives me I was going to go hiding vibes, but he's there in Norway. Anyway, this is weird. This story is getting weirder. Okay, so here's Marius without the mustache. Getting back to the article, last week, Se could also state that Hoiby and Crown Prince Haakon, 51, were observed on SK 805 from Gardermoen to London on Thursday. Many assumed that Haakon and Marius went to London so that the 27-year-old accused of violence could start rehab. right? Good assumption. However, it was a quick visit to London at the time because just a couple of days after the Crown Prince and bonus son, yes, that's a nickname they came up for Marius. He was Crown Prince Haakon's bonus son, not just stepson, were spotted on the plane to the big city. They were back in the Norwegian capital. Yes. Oh, yes, and this is Princess Marte Louise's new husband, and you can probably see where the allegations against him are going, and we're going to be covering that in the next stream. Unless something more happens that I have to cover, I don't know. I was not expecting, honestly, this. So, okay, that's the end of that article. They're claiming that Marius was on his way to rehab, possibly, when he was arrested, and that he was arrested sitting in a car with the woman who was the alleged victim. I say alleged because he has not yet been convicted, although he apparently admitted to some of the crimes he has been charged with. He was sitting in the car with the woman from the August incident when he got arrested yesterday. I thought it was today. Apparently it was yesterday, Monday, that Marius was arrested. So let's see. Here's the next article. Marius Borg Hoiby changed his appearance, dyed his hair, and grew a mustache. Marius Borg Hoiby announced 3 months ago that he was to be admitted for rehabilitation. So far, he has only made a change on the outside. See the exclusive photos in the case. And here is Marius back in Oslo after a quick trip to London, here with a new mustache. I mean, they've been shadowing him the whole time, so I wonder if they were able to get photos of his arrest or video of his arrest. I mean, they must be following him everywhere. So I wonder what else the press knows that they haven't yet written about, because media always has the inside scoop. They just keep it amongst themselves. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Until they can finally let it out. Attention! This case has been published before the news that the charge against Marius is being extended. Okay, so this is an older article. And yes, to be clear, again, according to Marius's attorney, Marius is not pleading guilty to the charge of R. Marius has admitted to a domestic incident in the apartment of the maybe ex-girlfriend Rebecca in August. He admitted to having issues with substances, and that apparently motivated his inappropriate aggression toward this young lady, which involved her being apparently hospitalized with a concussion, a bladed implement left in her bedroom wall, a chandelier on the floor, etc. So he admitted to that, although has not been convicted officially, apparently. But the new charge, the R crime against the same woman from the August incident, that he's saying, no, didn't do that, not guilty of that. And that he is cooperating with the police. He wants to explain himself. This is what his attorney is saying. So this is a bit of a reiteration of what we had just read, that last weekend the Crown Princely family, Mette-Marit, Haakon, and Marius went to London for the weekend. Everyone thought maybe it was rehab, but then they came back. Yes, it caused a great stir when Crown Prince Haakon canceled his official program for the rest of the week at short notice on Thursday, 2 weeks ago, due to, quote, private reasons, unquote. On the same day, Say a Whore's online edition was able to reveal that Crown Prince Haakon and Marius Borg Hoiby were observed on SK805 from Oslo to London. I'm sorry, I do not know what the significance of SK805 is. That is that the royal jet, perhaps? I'm not sure. I apologize. I don't know. They keep mentioning that. I don't know what the significance is. And okay, I guess this is Christmas in London. How lovely. Yes, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, Crown Prince Haakon, and Marius got to experience the pre-Christmas atmosphere in London. After the weekend trip, everyone returned to Norway. For Marius to get hit with an R charge, well, I hope it was a good weekend. I wonder if they knew it was coming. I wonder if they had to meet with anyone in London. Did they have to meet with, attorneys or crisis management, PR people? Not that they would not have that available to them in Norway, of course, but London being London, I'm sure perhaps there were even bigger, more powerful people they could consult. I really do wonder, what was the London trip about? What do you think? Anyone? I see there are some people here live. If you have an opinion as to what you think the London weekend trip was all about. Do you think that Marius was going to rehab at all? Do you think it was ever planned? Do you think he was going when he was this trip abroad? What do you guys think? Movie of the week, if you're still in the chat, what do you think? Now, if he hadn't changed his appearance, I think that would lend itself to, maybe he was actually going to a rehab. But it looks like he was trying to go on the lam. How does that work? You can't just disappear entirely forever like Lord Lucan. Did they think Marius was going to pull a Lord Lucan and he would just disappear forever? And that we would have to wonder, did he move to South Africa? Is he living like a, hippie surfer in Australia? What were all those, all of the rumors and speculation about what happened to Lord Lucan, who was accused of unaliving his nanny, thinking the nanny was his wife? Really sure. It looks bad though. I have to say, the mustache and dyed hair looks like a disguise. Okay, continuing the article. Go alone. After Mette-Marit's official program was over, she too went to London to spend time with Haakon and her son. On Friday, King Harald was back and led the cabinet without Haakon. Okay, and there's the cover of the magazine. Continuing, as the Crown Prince rarely cancels official missions, speculation arose as to whether the reason was to accompany Marius to substance rehabilitation. Quote, I have struggled with substance abuse for a long time, something I have been in treatment for in the past. I will now resume this treatment and take it very seriously, Marius said in a statement on 14 August. And there is Marius with his mother, Crown Princess Mette-Marit. The genes are very strong, as you can see. Quite the family resemblance. He also looks like his father, Morten Borg, who we don't hear too much about, but if you are listening and you're not caught up on the story, go back and listen to our stream, part 1 stream of the Scandals of the Norwegian Royal Family, and you will learn that Marius's bio-dad was convicted of dealing with the substance that Marius has admitted to having a problem with. There's a bit of like father and mother like son, unfortunately. But now we've added another tier to this of the R charge, which, of course, to be clear, he has not been convicted of, and he is denying this charge. And it appears that the woman who is the alleged victim of the R crime, it sounds from the reporting as though she did not make this allegation specifically against him, but perhaps in the questioning of this woman as to what happened that night, it sounds as though maybe she said that something happened which could be charged under the criminal code, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Movie of the week in the chat says, it looks like a really bad disguise, like comedy tier. Well, I guess it's his real mustache. We haven't seen him with the head of hair. There's just a hint of brown hair, but I guess they're saying that I think the glasses too, movie of the week, add to the, you kind of can't see it in this photo because his head is down and he has a ball cap on, but yeah, I think the glasses plus the mustache make it look like a bad, like, Halloween disguise type thing. But this is kind of creepy that he had well, it seems like a disguise. Yes, I have to agree. Okay, continuing the article. 3 months later, did I say this already? The Crown Prince couple will now be drawn directly into the case. According to what Say a Whore experiences, the trip to London was part of the start of the rehabilitation. Here the family gathered to have in-depth talks with therapists to make a plan for the further treatment. Thus, the Crown Prince couple are fully involved in getting the 27-year-old out of the accident he has been in. Accident, well, let's say incident. It was a form of an accident, I suppose. But there were not only, oh gosh, here we are with the mustache. But there were not only heavy conversations during the London stay. The Crown Prince couple and Marius were also observed at the shopping centre and in shops, including in Notting Hill, one of Mette-Marit's favorite areas in London. And there is Marius with his creeper stash and what looks like a pearl earring in his ear. I'm sure the LA, what is that, Dodgers? What is the LA baseball team at this point? I'm sure they're happy for the advertisement on his head. New style. Marius Borg Hoiby is back in Oslo after a quick trip to London, here with a new mustache. They enjoy that caption. They've used it before. Okay, Say a Whore and other media have asked questions to the palace about the London trip without receiving an answer. Okay, then how did they get the information that I just read? Who told them that? But already on Tuesday last week, Marius was back in Oslo. The son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit was then observed, among other things, at the celebrity spa The Well outside Oslo, which is owned by Stein Erik Hagen, 68. Why do we need his age? That's weird. And also weird product placement, like a kind of ad. Are you happy that if you're Hagen, are you happy that your spa has been mentioned in this article? Or are you like, please, we don't need that kind of publicity? Is any publicity good publicity? You be the judge. Marius Borg Hoiby left the spa alone, and many people did not notice who it was that strolled past. He has dyed his characteristic light hair dark and grown a mustache. Did he get his hair dyed at the spa? Or was it like that before? Less recognizable, Say a Whore's royal expert, Carolina Vagel? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I apologize, Carolina. Does not think the style change is unexpected. With the massive attention there has been around Marius in recent months, it is not surprising if he has taken some measures to be a little less visible. The whole of Norway has recognized him by his bright bangs since he was a little boy, whereas with darker hair and a mustache, he is a little less recognizable, she says, until the press takes photos of you and publishes them all over the internet. I think we know what he looks like now. Now what is he going to do? He's going to have to shave his hair into a mohawk, dye it red, and wear a goatee, a red goatee. What's next? I mean, this is ridiculous. Yes, you're about to be charged with R. You need to be in rehab. So what do? You change your style. No. And if he were in a rehab, it would not matter what his hair color was or whether he had facial hair, because people would not be staring at him. I don't think people staring at you when you go to the spa is your concern right now, Marius. Or Mette-Marit, or Håkon. He should be in rehab already. Why did they even allow this? This is insane. Okay, back to the article. Unanswered questions. The role of the family has so far created several questions that do not have clear answers. Indeed, who removed the SIM card and smashed the mobile phone of Marius Borg Hoiby before it was handed over to the police? Aha! I did not catch from the articles I had read before that his cell phone was smashed. I definitely heard about the SIM card, and we had speculated about what information could be contained on the SIM card that would not be recorded by the phone provider. Meaning my thought was, if your phone activity is recorded by your phone company, removing the SIM card would only be a temporary stopgap, a temporary block in the road to finding that information, which I imagine the police, as part of a criminal investigation, could subpoena the phone records from the phone company. I mean, I'm just assuming that the laws are similar in Norway to the laws I am familiar with. I don't know, maybe not. I'm also not sure of the technology. Movie of the Week discussed this with me last stream about what could potentially be on a SIM card that might not be recorded by the phone company or a phone service provider. I'm not sure. If anyone does have more specific information about that, I would love to know. Tell me in the chat or leave a comment on the video itself. But one of the previous articles we read seemed to indicate that it was Crown Princess Mette-Marit, his mother, who had removed the SIM card from the phone. And as we continue the article, it says, Borg Hoiby himself has said that it was not him, but he had the SIM card earlier in the day. He is also said to have explained that he showered in the minutes before he was to be arrested, while Mette-Marit, his mother, cleaned his apartment. What did she clean up? Was she removing substances? Was she removing SIM cards? Did she smash the phone? We don't know, but imagine that. Imagine Mette-Marit running over to her son's home, the little house or what have you that he lives on, the Skaugum estate, where she lives with Håkon and their two other children. Marius has this little house or bungalow or something on the property, so she's running over there. Doing what? As I said, cleaning substances up, grabbing baggies, flushing them down toilets, like that scene from Goodfellas where Karen's dumping the, powder down the toilet because Mette-Marit, really? It's activity very unbecoming a royal. And of course, having a son who's being accused of the R word. I'm trying to decide, is this actually worse than what Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, has been accused of? What do you think? Do you think that this is worse? The R charge against Marius, is that equal? Is that worse than what Andrew was accused of? I'm really unsure about this one. I think it's like a 50-50. Okay, continuing the article. Say a whore has repeatedly asked the palace questions about Crown Princess Mette-Marit removing the SIM card or other evidence from the apartment, but they have not been willing to answer the questions. And how long will they be able to put that off? And if you are watching your screen right now, this is a lovely group photo from 2022 of the Norwegian royal family. We have Marius Borg Hoiby, the man in question, who has been charged with the crime of R against his possibly ex-girlfriend. We're not really sure about their relationship. This is Marius here. This is his younger half-brother, Prince Sverre. This is stepfather, Crown Prince Håkon of Norway. This is Marius's mother, Crown Princess Mette-Marit. This is her mother, his maternal grandmother, Marit Tjessem. I don't know if she uses her married surname. This is King Harald V of Norway, the current monarch. This is Princess Ingrid Alexandra, the daughter of Mette-Marit and Håkon, who in theory is to be the future queen of Norway after her father, in theory, becomes the next king. And that's Queen Sonja, who is his wife, and mother, Harold's wife, Håkon's mother, and the grandmother of the children, or step-grandmother to Marius. And it does make me wonder, what of the future of the Norwegian monarchy? Will this reflect poorly on Håkon? Will this reflect poorly on all of them? And I don't know the mood of the Norwegians. It seems that in every country that has a monarchy, there is a vocal, support of the monarchy, a very vocal support of anti-monarchy sentiments and pro-Republican sentiments, and then like a sort of majority in the center that kind of doesn't care as long as it doesn't affect them, I guess. Could go either way, take it or leave it. That's the feeling that I get, that there isn't really any of the, and I'm speaking of the European monarchies, that any country is really that into their monarchy, or that there's any country that's so against their monarchy that they're ready to just completely throw them out at the drop of a hat. Monarchies tend to be pretty well entrenched. So I guess the momentum, the impetus is to stay with what you've got. You have to make quite an effort to get rid of these people. And in the past, it's usually been upheaval, world war, revolution, that sort of thing that actually unseats a monarchy. But I don't know. Could it be just endless scandals, endless disasters, endless personal problems that they simply cannot cover up? They can't sweep under the rug. They can't make go away. I don't know. It really, as a royal watcher and a history buff for many, many years, it really makes me wonder what is going to happen. Movie of the Week in the chat says, in the greater scheme of things, this is worse, I think, but Andrew looks way worse. Yeah, I'm really not sure, Movie of the Week. As I said, it's kind of a tie for me. I think I'd have to sit down and think about it a little more, and it's really, I think, splitting hairs at this point. But anyway, continuing the article, Marius Borg Hoiby's lawyer, Øyvind Brattelian, has previously said that Marius was going into full-time rehabilitation over a month ago. The defense attorney confirmed that Marius had finished being questioned. It has been tough and difficult weeks for everyone, which has made it difficult for him to focus fully on his own problems. Now that the interrogations have been completed, he will shortly begin full-time rehabilitation as he had wished, the defender wrote to TV2. It's kind of a gross response, because in the middle of that, if you notice, it says, oh, he would really like to go to rehab and focus on getting his you-know-what together. But, he's just been, interrupted by these interrogations by the police. These annoying cops just won't stop asking him questions about assaulting a lady, allegedly, which he's admitted to, so I guess not allegedly, putting a blade into a wall and, who knows what, the R crime, possibly, we don't know. Rehab is definitely important, but to pretend that the police questioning got in the way of that, when he has still not gone to rehab as far as we know. Okay, great. This is really bad. This looks really, really, really bad. They've handled this incredibly poorly. And this is just a photo of Crown Princess Mette-Marit on the right here with one of Marius's exes, Juliana Snekkestad. She's the one before Rebecca, I believe. And apparently they had, quite a tight little relationship for a couple years. But she, too, has accused Marius of inappropriate behavior. Not to the point of the R crime, but, substances and, aggro behavior. I don't know that she has quite pushed it to the point of bodily contact, but definitely, aggression and inappropriate. And she, along with one of the other exes, Nora, both claimed that they had told the crown princely couple, or at least Mette-Marit, but in one of them said, I think, Mette-Marit, and the other said both Mette-Marit and Håkon, that, Marius has some issues and you need to get him help. You need to get this under control. And considering, this is two girlfriends before Rebecca, the girlfriend who he is most recently accused of attacking, that these criminal charges are related to, this has been going on for literally years. And the crown prince and princess knew, which should mean that the king and the queen knew. And yes, the king and the queen look like a lovely elderly couple, but it doesn't change the fact that they are adults. And furthermore, they're the king and the queen of the country. And if they knew and they were covering up, I think everyone can understand having sympathy for dealing with a troubled member of one's family. But when that troubled member of one's family is causing trouble for other people's family members, you've got to get control of it. And they certainly have not apparently done their best. So continuing the article, it also caused a stir when Marius posed in a photo that was fiercely shared on social media. Here he is standing in a grocery store where he was carrying a 10-pack of draft beer in one hand and pointing with the other next to a Seahor notice. They mean like the magazine. It was the cover of the magazine, with a picture of himself and the title, "Shows No Remorse." Oh no, that's even worse. According to Seahor, the family has expressed their wish for Marius to be admitted to rehabilitation. But for now, Marius spends his time in the capital. And this is Marius with his, not the last girlfriend, but the one before, Juliana Snekkestad, who has also accused him of acting inappropriately, although not to the point of the R crime, unless that's to come, I don't know. But this was the then couple, attending the confirmation of Marius's younger half-brother, Prince Sveromanius, in 2020, and that explains why Juliana is sort of uncharacteristically dressed in very modest Norwegian folk costume. This is not her usual choice of attire. She is a much more fashionable young lady, I suppose we could say. And that photo of Marius, I did have it. I don't want to sit here and just cycle through tabs trying to find it, but I may take a little break in just a minute and then find those shocking photographs as we cover the breaking news that I thought it had happened this morning, but apparently it happened last night, Monday evening, as I am recording this on a Tuesday afternoon, that Marius Borg Hoiby, the son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway and the stepson of Crown Princess Haakon, the step-grandson of King Harald V of Norway, has been arrested once again and charged this time with the crime of R, the four-letter R word. His alleged victim is what we believe to be his most recent ex-girlfriend, a woman who was his alleged victim. I say alleged because he has not yet been convicted of the charges against him. He was alleged to have attacked this woman in her apartment in August, resulting in a destroyed apartment. The woman was reportedly admitted to the hospital with a concussion, and that was in August. It is now November, and since the investigation has proceeded, the police in Norway have chosen to charge Marius with the crime of R. I am pulling up an article, so if you can look at your screen, you can see the word that I cannot say because of YouTube. Again, a sensitive subject, so I need to be careful with both YouTube and, for anyone out there who does not want to be bombarded with these words outright. You can read it on the screen, and yes, very serious charges against Marius on top of the crimes he's been charged with related to other aspects of this apparent, attack. As I mentioned before, he had admitted to being under the influence of substances, both adult beverages and marching powder, and that he has claimed he has mental issues, and that I guess a combination of these mental issues and his substance abuse culminated in his inappropriate behavior. He claimed he was sorry. He claimed he was going to rehab, and instead now we have him dyeing his hair, growing a creeper stash. Where are those photos of his awful creeper stash? And still not in rehab, but he has been arrested and charged with the R crime. Despite being charged with crimes of aggression and violation, It appears that he is not in police custody, however. It appears that he is still walking around free, which is a little troubling, a little concerning. But let's look at this, another article that came out today or last night. This is from today. Crown Prince Haakon, I would have liked to be with Mette today. Crown Prince Haakon comments on the new charges against his stepson, Marius Borg Hoiby. And here are the three of them. That is Marius. This is Crown Prince Haakon, his stepfather, and that is Crown Princess Mette-Marit, his mother. Okay, on Tuesday came the news that Marius Borg Hoiby, 27, has been arrested by the police for the third time this autumn. This time, the Crown Princess's son is accused of R. The police have expanded the charges against Marius Borg Hoiby. The charge has been extended to also apply to a violation of the Criminal Code, Section 291, letter B, which concerns a certain kind of activity with someone who is unconscious or for other reasons unable to resist the act, the police wrote in a press release. Hoiby denies criminal guilt for the last charge. So to repeat, Marius denies committing the R crime. He has admitted to committing other crimes of aggression, but not this one. He denies the R crime. In total, there are now 5 victims in the cases where Hoiby has been charged. Oh, goodness. I thought we were only at 3 or 4. Okay. Crown Prince Haakon is currently in Jamaica as this says food will ambassador. Is that actually a thing? I would imagine that was a mistranslation of goodwill ambassador, but perhaps there is a new thing called food will. I could see some marketing person coming up with a goodwill and food will. I don't know. Perhaps it is just a mistranslation. For the UN's development program, now he is speaking about the new charges to RNK, which is based on, they're in Jamaica questioning him. And here is Crown Prince Haakon in Jamaica. There are serious charges that Marius is now facing. Today, of course, we are thinking of all those affected, says the Crown Prince to the state channel. I would have liked to be at home with Mette today. I miss her, he says further. The Crown Prince emphasizes that the police and the judicial system must now be given room to do their job, writes NRK. And I trust that they will do that in a good way. Hoiby is said to have been arrested by the police just before midnight on Monday evening. That was last night, as I'm recording this, when he drove a car without a valid certificate, or according to Dagbladet. Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that. In a previous stream, as we were covering Marius's case, it was reported that his mother, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, had reported him to the health authorities and had his driver's license removed or revoked. I'm not exactly clear what that mechanism is. It's as though she called in a health check or something. My son is not healthy enough to drive, so do not allow him to have a license. So they revoked his license. I'm not clear on that process. That's not really a thing that I've ever heard of anyone being able to do. And perhaps there is a problem with, again, mistranslation between Norwegian and English, but I'm not sure what the health reason or how someone's mommy can just call a department and say, hey, take my 27-year-old son's license away, how that's a legal process. But I guess when you're the Crown Princess, you can do what you want. I don't know, but that was the previous, a previous article indicated that Mette-Marit made a call and had Marius's driver's license taken away. So yes, if he was driving a car, he would not have had a license, and then that would have been another crime. And as the article says, this has also been taken out as a new charge against the 27-year-old. Hoiby is now charged with R without conjugal completion. I don't exactly know how to say this. It was an SA, but without an actual, it was a form of an essay. I'll just leave it at that. If you want, if you can put eyes on your screen, you can see what it says yourself. So of a woman in her 20s, in addition to abuse in close relationships against 3 ex, the text says boyfriends, it's a mistranslation, it's girlfriends, threats against a man, I think that might mean just person, breach of visiting and contact bans, that's breaking the restraining order, as well as, because he did that apparently by phone and now in person, having met up with the woman from the August incident, as well as for having driven a car without a driving license. He just keeps piling up the criminal offenses. It really begs the question. I mean, Mette-Marit and Håkon together have more than 100 years between them, a century plus of life experience. These are not naive people. They are not young people. They may have a certain level of ignorance, but they are not, generally speaking, ignorant people. How they could allow Marius to be running around like this. And yes, I understand. He is a grown man. He's 27. Right. Come on. He's a member of a member of the extended Norwegian royal family. If anyone thinks that his parents and the mechanism that surrounds these people does not have the ability to pressure Marius into, say, a rehab facility that he would not be able to just walk away from, I think that is naive and or ignorant thinking. If they wanted to, they could. And unfortunately, I don't see how this doesn't not only cause problems for them based on their handling. I mean, not just Marius saying he's an embarrassment makes it feel a little like I'm not taking it that seriously. It's beyond being just an embarrassment. This is incredibly serious. I think anyone would be mortified if their child were involved in this situation. And it seems as though maybe they've kept a little too quiet about this. I don't know what they could say, but definitely they should have put his backside into a facility by now, if only for appearances. Like, let's assume they aren't terribly good people. Let's assume they don't even care. Just for the sake of argument, let's assume that the crown prince and princess really do not care about the victims at all, and they only care about appearances. I would think for appearances' sake, they would have kept, say, the shopping in Notting Hill down to a minimum, meaning none, for their London trip, knowing that the press is on them like this. It's really, and what of their security? You know that they have security services, obviously provided by the state, by Norway itself, but they have the money to hire private security. They could hire bodyguards to keep an eye on Marius and keep him, I mean, yes, it would be restricting his freedom against his will, but these are things that happen. This is what happens. They could absolutely do this. It might be a technical violation of Marius's human rights, but, is it better that he is constantly racking up additional charges? Not that they could have avoided this R charge, apparently. That was just coming out of the questioning of Rebecca, I forgot her middle name, Arntzen, I think was the surname, the woman from the August incident. So I am going to take a little bit of a break right now, and I'm going to do a quick check to see if there are any more articles, and maybe I will pull up some of those photos, the photo specifically of Marius posing, flipping off the camera next to the tabloid magazines. And we'll see if there are any more updates on the Marius story that have come across. the internet while I have been streaming. And then, I'm just going to take a little break and catch up, and then we will come back and discuss the arrest of Marius Borg Hoiby, the step-grandson of the King of Norway. This is Friendship Empire. I am the Empress. Thank you for listening. And if you have a moment, do me a favor, hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and share this so that people can find this information out and join us. The more, the merrier. I'm taking my break now. I will be back in about 10 minutes. Hello, hello, hello. This is French Dip Empire, and I am the Empress, and we are back after a little break. And what we are discussing today is the arrest of Marius Borg Hoiby, which happened last night as I am recording this on a Tuesday. It happened on a Monday evening. He was arrested, and here we go. There is the man himself, Marius, the son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway, who has been in trouble since, well, at least August of this year. His first arrest was in August, and now his most recent arrest, his third arrest for a very, very serious crime, which I can't exactly say the word on YouTube, but it is a 4-letter word starting with the letter R. And you can see what that charge is if you look at your screen. It is in the headline. He is arrested on suspicion of an SA of a woman in her 20s who has been identified as the same woman who may or may not be his ex-girlfriend, most recent ex-girlfriend, who was involved in an incident with Marius in August at her apartment, which resulted in his arrest, him being charged with not just the attack on this woman, but on having some substance issues, which he has admitted to. He has not been convicted of the crimes so far that he has been accused of or charged with. He has admitted to some of them. He admitted to having issues with inappropriate aggression. He admitted to acting inappropriately with this woman, Rebecca, who he called his girlfriend. According to her lawyer, she is not his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. However, they continue apparently to have contact, as we have learned through one of these articles that when Marius was arrested most recently, just yesterday, as I am recording this, he was arrested while sitting in a car with this woman, his maybe ex-girlfriend, maybe not, his alleged victim, his actual victim. It's kind of difficult to know what to say alleged and what not to when he was charged with some of these crimes. He's admitted to some of them but has not been convicted. So if he admitted to doing certain things, I guess I don't have to say alleged. But in the case of this most recent criminal charge, the very, very serious charge, the R word, he has denied this through his attorney. So to be very, very clear, Marius Borg Hoiby, currently being charged on suspicion of the R word, he has denied having committed that act. And to be clear, this is apparently some kind of, okay, I won't get into the details. If you really want to know, you can read that paragraph right there that I have highlighted on the screen. I can't really discuss it in that much detail because of YouTube and also out of, the sensitivities of anyone who might be listening to this. I just want to be careful. So if you really want to know and you don't have a problem, you can read the text on the screen. If not, you can just listen to me talk around it as best I can. So if you are new and just joining us, this is the situation. If you are unfamiliar with the Norwegian royal family, I would be surprised, but here is a family tree that you can look at. Here is Marius. As I said, he is, or may have said, he is the son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway. He is not, however, the biological son of her husband, the Crown Prince, the heir to the current King of Norway, King Harald V, who is an elderly man and suffering from health issues. We do not know how long he will be on the throne, and therefore the status of his heir, Crown Prince Haakon, is very important. If they want to continue the monarchy in Norway, they kind of have to let Haakon be the next king. And if there are massive questions about his wife and himself and their handling of her son, his stepson, and yes, stepson, he is not the Haakon is not Marius's biological father, but he reportedly played the role of, acting father. Marius's bio dad, Morten Borg, a convicted felon, a man with charges that he was actually convicted of related to one of the substances that his son Marius has admitted to having problems with. That man has been in contact, apparently continues to have contact with Marius. They have been photographed together, but not often. And it has always been stated that Crown Prince Haakon was sort of his acting father. I can't really comment more on to what extent Morten Borg, Marius's biological father, was involved with Marius's upbringing. It does not sound as though it was much, but clearly there was enough contact that in our first stream, where we covered part 1 of the scandals of the Norwegian royal family, where we went on a deep dive into Marius, his crimes, his alleged crimes up until that point, not including this most recent R-word charge, the background of his mother, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, and his biological father. It's a very sordid tale, and it seems as though the apple has not fallen too far from the tree. And in retrospect, it is sort of making the question of whether the king and the queen should have allowed Crown Prince Haakon to marry Crown Princess Mette-Marit, she wasn't Crown Princess at the time, not until their marriage, but should they have allowed their son and heir to marry this woman who was not only a commoner, not that that's a crime. Queen Sonja was born a commoner, but was a single mother, not single through a divorce, but single through a pregnancy with a man who was not her husband. Not that that is a crime, and not that that necessarily makes someone a bad person, of course, but in this circumstance, the circumstances of the pregnancy, the circumstances of the father were not ideal, let's say. And if you want more specifics about that, I would recommend going back and listening to part 1 of Friendship Empire's Scandals of the Norwegian Royal Family series. So while I was on break, I was catching up with what the latest news is, and so let me pull that up. Oh, before I do that, I quickly wanted to show some of the photos that were mentioned. This was a photograph that was mentioned in one or more of the articles, and I mentioned it also. Here is Marius posing, as you can see, in a grocery store with a pack of beer and displaying his middle finger next to himself on the cover of the Norwegian tabloids, and it is a discussion of his crimes up until that point, which would be the August incident, with the maybe ex-girlfriend Rebecca, the one that ended up with a chandelier on the floor and a bladed implement that one would find in one's kitchen stuck into her bedroom wall. I should have pulled up the photos of that too, which were widely disseminated both online and on in the tabloid press, but maybe I can do that in a moment. Here is another lovely photo of Marius that was disseminated on the internet, and if you can see, this comes from Bild, the German tabloid, Der Photoschock, the shocking photo of Marius posing in his shirtless with his tats, his gold watch, a mug of who knows what beverage, possibly an adult beverage, a bottle of a definitely adult beverage, what we could call adult soda, a euphemism that we discovered in Stream 2, Part 2 of the Norwegian royal family scandals. Adult soda, a lovely euphemism for alcoholic beverages. He has cash money stuffed into his waistband. These are golden and lavender or purple colored bills, possibly Norwegian kroner. I'm not entirely sure, and a black implement of the type that would throw projectiles at a high rate of speed. It has been debated whether that implement is actually a toy, which, based on this little apparently plastic bit in the front here, could indicate that this is nothing more than a water toy, a water-throwing toy, but it could be a real implement that throws projectiles at a high rate of speed. Regardless of whether it is a real one or not, he should definitely not have his finger placed here on the trigger. Poor trigger discipline among his many other faults. Marius does not know how to properly and safely handle this type of a tool. I'll call it a tool. So anyway, this is the kind of stuff that has come out and been disseminated in the media, which is not exactly making Marius look like a guy who is remorseful, although it's unclear when this photo was taken, but obviously this photo was taken after his initial arrest, and the translation on this was something about like he has no remorse or something to that effect. So clearly this is a man who is giving zero you know what's, and that has reflected poorly upon him and his parents. And now moving forward with some new articles in the wake of Marius Borg Hoiby's arrest for the R word. Nettavisen has published this article from today. The scandal threatens Mette-Marit and Haakon's relationship. The Marius case has gone from bad to worse. How will the royal family survive violence, substances, and accusations of R? And the caption here, the author is saying, unfortunately, I have lost trust in the Crown Prince couple. I'm probably not alone in that. And yeah, I'm sure that the author probably speaks for many people right about now, in Norway and abroad. Yeah, but and it's kind of interesting that this is really falling squarely on the Crown Princely couple. The king and the queen being protected. The old issue of the buck stops here. I would think the king and the queen, they've got to keep their castle, their palace, their domain under control. And if the king is not able to keep his son and heir, the crown prince, under control, then what would that say? If Haakon, the crown prince, is allowing Mette-Marit and Marius to, engage in this nonsense, and he's okay with that, how could it possibly get any better if Haakon were actually king? And if Harald, the current king, I suppose he could hide behind, pardon me, being old and infirm, but if he is too old and too infirm to keep control over his kingdom, then how can he continue to be king? I guess perhaps people want to protect the king from such accusations. I guess it remains to be seen. Will there be a call to skip over Haakon, to go straight to his daughter, Princess Ingrid? Will it go from King Harald to Ingrid? She's quite young. Would that be a good option for Norway? I have no idea. So let's read this article, which of course is an opinion piece. It is like an op-ed piece. So this is opinion, written by their royal house expert. Okay, so let's see. It is stop scrolling. Okay, sorry. My cursor is making my my windows scroll up and down without my consent. Okay, it is no longer possible to claim that what Marius does not affect the royal house. Last week, at the latest, the Crown Prince Regent traveled out of the country together with Marius, leaving the constitutional duties to the government. It shows that the Crown Prince thinks more about his family than the country and the people he is set to lead. Oof! Okay, that's going hard. Now, let's look back on that a little bit. It refers to Haakon as the Crown Prince Regent. So, at the time, being regent, he was acting on behalf of his father, the king. Again, the king being a little too infirm, a little too elderly to fully fulfill his duties, and I've stated my position in the past. I think if you're going to be royal, you have to be royal all the way. And if you're going to be the king or the queen or the empress, you have to stay on that throne until your natural end. And if you become too old, too infirm, or what have you, to fulfill the role, I firmly believe in a regency. Movie of the week in the chat says Spank. Yes, this is quite the big spank of an editorial in Nettavisen. But the point of being a regent is that you are the acting head of the country. And if the Crown Prince, Haakon, is acting as the regent, he has to stay in the country and do the job. He can't choose to be daddy at that moment and go off to allegedly discuss rehab options in London with his wife and 27-year-old stepson, who, to reiterate, Marius has a biological father that he does have contact with. I would think, regardless of how wonderful a stepfather Haakon has been up until this point and how involved he has been, that running the country, sort of, not really, but kind of, being the regent would have to take precedence over going to discuss rehab options for your 27, I might add, 27 full adult stepson. If they have such a small royal family, which Norway does, and this is just to editorialize on my own, this is one of the dangers with having a tiny, teeny, tiny, itsy bitsy, teeny weeny little royal family, where you only have a couple people in each generation. If someone can't do the job, who is going to be there to do the job? Now, of course, Republicans would say you don't need a royal family at all, so you need no one to do this job. And this is the argument for eliminating the monarchy. And perhaps Norway will be looking at that option in the near future, if they are not at the moment. But you need extra people. And the way the family stands, and going back to the, family tree that I put up before, this is a very small royal family. King Harald had 2 sisters, one of whom is dead. Another is about as elderly, obviously, as he is, and not in a position to help out really with being a monarch. He has one son who is in trouble. He has one daughter who has had to step back from her royal duties, in part because of her business activities and in part because of her scandalous second marriage. And we will be discussing that on a future stream. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but I'm not sure. It may still be tomorrow, but probably definitely later this week. Other than that, the princess has 3 daughters who are currently living lives as commoners, and then there are just the 2 young Princess Ingrid Alexandra and Prince Sverre who are still growing up, learning the ropes. They're not full out there adults. At the moment, Princess Ingrid is doing military service up in the north of Norway, and there was it's kind of worked out in her favor because she's so far away from the capital. It is more difficult for the media to bother her there, and they can, obviously, it being a military situation, they can provide her not only with security, but they could create a great perimeter where nobody can yell a question, no one can take a photo easily, and bother her amidst this the scandal going on with her older half-brother, Marius, who, if you are just joining us, has just as of last night in Norway been arrested on accusation of the crime of R, the four-letter R word, talking about an SA activity against a woman who he has previously admitted to and been charged with attacking in her apartment in August in Norway, that resulted in her reportedly going to the hospital with a concussion, and photographs of her apartment, her trashed apartment with a broken chandelier on the floor and a bladed weapon stuck into the wall of her bedroom appeared in the tabloids. So who's left to run Norway? The elderly, infirm king, the crown prince who is beleaguered with his wife, who is being accused of potentially covering up the crimes of her son, and the crimes of her son being not limited to the accusation now of R, the R word, the four-letter R word. So back to this op-ed piece, which is accusing the crown prince of caring more about his family than the country and the people he is set to lead, because he left to go to London over the weekend, last weekend, as I am recording this, it is last weekend, with his wife and stepson, supposedly to talk about rehab options for the son, who up until this point has still not gone into rehab, despite the fact that he has admitted to having problems with substances, that he has had these problems for years, that he has gone into rehab before, obviously unsuccessfully, and he's had, 3 months now to get treatment, which he apparently has not done, and now he has been arrested again, but is apparently not in custody. Again, free to enter rehab, but has not, as far as we know. So back to this op-ed. The crown prince would have liked to have been at home to support Mette-Marit. Yes, and that was a previous article that we read just before the break with him saying that. But what about the victims of Marius' misdeeds? No doubt, King Harald sees kingship withering between his hands because Marius Borg Hoiby is out of control. How can the royal house get out of this tricky situation? There is no doubt that the royal court needs outside advice. The organization seems paralyzed, and it looks like they hope the whole thing can be hushed up and that we will eventually forget. It's not going to happen. Because one day in the future, Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Mette-Marit will become king and queen, and the matter is heavy and painful in the baggage. Weird terminology. Because how can we trust them? Norway needs a royal couple who do more than cut cords. We need leadership that can show the way into the future. Unfortunately, I have lost trust in the Crown Prince couple. I'm probably not alone in that. Perhaps the Crown Prince couple will have to sacrifice their relationship in order to keep the Norwegian monarchy. Could it end in a divorce to keep the monarchy? Well, that is definitely an interesting option. What do you think? Do you think that the Crown Princely couple will divorce? And just to reiterate, this was, Haakon had basically threatened to step down and abandon his his right to succeed to the throne in order to marry Mette-Marit. He put the threat in, and his parents allowed him to take that step and marry the single mother of a child with a man who was a convicted felon for a substance-related crime. It was a bit of a thing back in the day. And as I mentioned in a previous stream, part 1, I believe, stream 1 of our Scandals in the Norwegian Royal Family series, King Harald and Queen Sonja probably were more likely to acquiesce to their son's demand, because A similar situation had happened in the past. King Harald had wanted to marry his girlfriend Sonia, and she was a commoner and a local, meaning a Norwegian woman. And his parents, King Harald's parents, were both royal themselves, born royal, and they wanted him to not marry a commoner and not a local woman. And he put his foot down and said, "But I am in love. I am in love with Sonia, and she is the only one who will do for me. And if you don't let me marry her," well, he didn't per se threaten to give up his right of succession, but he waited 10 years to wear his parents down. His parents waited 10 years for him to give up Sonia, and he waited for 10 years for his parents to give up their resolve that he would not marry Sonia. And as you can see from the Norwegian royal family tree, they gave in, and they allowed Harald, their crown prince at the time, to marry his beloved Sonia, and she became the queen. And as far as I can tell, without a blemish, she has been an exemplary queen. As far as I can tell, never set a foot wrong at all. She never even had that much, hey, we've all had bad fashion missteps, but she wasn't even the worst dresser among the married-ins. She's been a pretty good queen. But then the kids went completely off the rails. Crown Prince Haakon, who had been doing a pretty good job up until this point, but clearly with his marriage to Mette-Marit, it seems as though he made a rather unfortunate choice. And I don't believe that everything was hunky-dory for 27 years. And now Marius has fallen off, well, I was going to say the rails, but that would kind of be a bad pun. And Martha Louise, as we started to get into her backstory in part 2, yesterday's stream, it seems that her life has also gone a bit off the rails with her choice of a controversial partner who is now facing accusations of his own, and actually the accusations of impropriety along the similar lines as Marius, let's say of the intimate variety. They have also, they were the worst scandals, I think. It was, I think, the Shaman, Princess Martha Louise's husband, Shaman Durek Verrett, had kind of outpaced Marius right before Marius' most recent arrest. I hope that was clear. But anyway, getting back to Marius and getting back to this story here. Let me find my tab again. That was the old one. And I have so many windows and so many tabs open. I apologize. This gets very confusing at times. Oh, and that's Martha Louise. Where did my tab go? Here, one moment. Marius case. Here we go. Okay. And then they have a little poll here. Have you lost trust in the Crown Prince couple? I'd kind of like to see what the result is. Maybe I will actually vote in it after we finish reading this article, but I don't want to disturb the page at the moment. Okay, continuing with this op-ed. Destroys life. If Marius has R'd me, I hope he takes responsibility for his actions. The victims deserve it. Unfortunately, it does not seem that Marius understands the seriousness. He denies criminal guilt. Well, okay, to give him the benefit of the doubt, if he is indeed not guilty, he has the right to claim not guilty, but this all looks very bad, of course. It is difficult to believe his denial, but it could be true. Just have to say that to be fair. Continuing with this op-ed, R, the four-letter R word, that crime that Marius has been charged with, is a major social problem that many, especially men, do not take seriously. I have many female friends who have experienced R. It has ruined their lives. Most people who make a complaint find that the case is dismissed on the basis of the evidence. I think Marius should be kept in custody to protect the Norwegian people from his misdeeds. I can't disagree. So that the police can investigate without evidence being destroyed, and all of us in his presence can feel safe. Well, unfortunately, if you want evidence to not be destroyed, it seems as though you would need to keep the crown princess in custody as well. The crown prince couple have had a golden opportunity to distance themselves from a V word. The inappropriate aggression is the term that I try to use here on Friendship Empire. Substances, and now accusations of R. Unfortunately, they have chosen not to take advantage of that opportunity. It must be terribly painful for anyone who has experienced such an act of violence. And honestly, to be fair, some men have experienced that act as well. I said the word. Hopefully YouTube won't ding me. But to be fair, some men have experienced that act themselves as a victim, not a perpetrator. And some men have people close to them who have experienced SAs and Rs and have an understanding and sensitivity to this. So while it is true that, she did say especially men, but I don't want to, not all men are so horrible. So a lot of men get it, and some men have actually been victims. So I think that's important to mention, just to be fair. I'm not trying to hate on the men out there, even though this is a man who has been accused of a very hateable crime, allegedly. If the Crown Prince couple do not soon actively distance themselves from Marius Borg Hoiby's actions, I do not understand how the monarchy can survive. And she ends that with a question mark. And it is a question. So let's see. Have you lost trust in the Crown Prince couple? Well, I would source my reply from the chat, but I feel that I'm alone here in this decision. So, have you lost trust in the Crown Prince couple? I'm going to vote yes, along with the author of the op-ed, and let's see, 68%, a total of 4,480 votes, of which presumably one is ours. 68% have lost trust in the Crown Prince couple. 32% say no, they have not. Okay, well, that's as good of a measure of public sentiment as any, I suppose. Movie of the Week in the chat says, if I remember correctly, there was a wave of republicanism when they let Håkon marry Mette-Marit. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that is the kind of thing that always stirs up, people who have problems with that sort of thing. I mean, personally, I don't care who they marry as long as they are happy and healthy in their relationship. But I have to say, from a genealogical point of view, I always get way more excited when a royal marries another royal, or an aristocrat, or at least someone noteworthy, someone who's part of an interesting family or has some, other kind of connection. That's always exciting to me from a genealogical point of view, but, from a personal point of view, who cares? I don't care. But it's more fun for me. Always more fun for me. So will they divorce? Will this undermine the monarchy? So we go over to Dagbladet, another Norwegian media outlet. Catastrophe and collapse. Several royal experts react after Marius Borg Hoiby's third arrest and ask the royal house to get involved. Okay, this is also from today. Okay, in short, Marius Borg Hoiby. Well, I won't read the bullet points because I'm sure they are going to repeat them in the body of the text. Okay, on Tuesday morning, it became known that the police have expanded the charges against Marius Borg Hoiby, 27. He has now been arrested and charged with R, of a woman in her 20s. And to be clear, it appears to, yes, they will tell us here in the article. Okay, I don't mean to make fun, but it looks like this headline was written by Donald Trump. Accused of R, sad. Well, that's putting it mildly sad. I'm not saying that that's a way that Trump would characterize something. And I'm not trying to get on it. I hate politics, so I'm not trying to drag that into it. I mean it just as a character, like the way a character would deliver a line. The character of Trump, I hear that headline in his voice because it's the way that he like phrases things. This is not a political thing. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. Like who you want, don't like who you want. It's not, I don't care. Movie of the week in the chat says, I thought the same thing, that it sounds like a Trump quote. Yes. Although, you know, to be fair, he probably would characterize something like that. Sad. And not think that there was anything, yeah, that's appropriate. Okay. Just as a character, I don't care. I seriously don't care about the politics. I really don't. I don't. Back to the article. The charge has also been extended from bodily harm to abuse in close relations against the victim in the Frogner incident in August, in addition to a further breach of a restraining order against the woman. That would be Rebecca. Her name has been made public. It's been public in these articles. The fact that they're not mentioning it, some of them do and some of them don't. So I don't know if there is a like specific thing that they're not going to mention it in Norway, but they're mentioning it in like the other nation's press or what, but it has been mentioned. So I'm not like outing anything that isn't already out there. Hoiby does not plead guilty to the extended charge. So yes, to be clear, although Marius has in the past admitted to inappropriate aggression in the August incident and also illegal substance abuse, he has denied the R charge. To be clear, Marius, through his attorney, has said he is not guilty of the charge of R. According to Dagbladet's information, he, Marius, was going to London for rehabilitation for substance problems today, but was thus arrested on Monday evening. Okay, so if you're not caught up to date, Marius and Crown Prince Haakon at the end of last week, meaning as this is being recorded last week, he suddenly canceled his official duties, supposedly for a private matter. That was his excuse. And then he got on an airplane with Marius, his stepson. They flew to London. Mette-Marit joined them in London. They spent the weekend in London and were seen shopping in Notting Hill. Then they came back to Norway at the beginning of this week, and it seemed as though they just went for like a weird shopping trip, like a Christmas shopping trip to London. It didn't look terribly serious. One of the articles that I read earlier in the stream indicated that the reason why the Crown Princely couple were in London with Marius over the weekend was to evaluate rehabilitation options, discuss treatment, going forward, blah, blah, blah. Why they did not enter him into a facility, a program at that time, leave him there, I have no idea. It appears that when Marius left the country, he was blonde. When he came back to the country, he was blonde. But then at some point after coming back to the country, he dyed his hair brown and developed a brown creeper stash, which we were looking at in one of these other articles. Let's see, that I was reading before I took my break. Here he is. Which looks like a disguise, and it almost seems as though he were going to flee the country or go into hiding, but allegedly the explanation on this one is that he simply wanted to remove himself from the public scrutiny, that people would not be able to as easily recognize him. If he were admitted into rehab, he would not need a disguise for the few days that he would be in Norway before entering rehab. It doesn't make sense to me. If it makes sense to you, please explain it to me in the chat, in a comment. But if you're on my side and you think this is all sketchy and maybe they were going to have him flee the country or something, go into hiding for what? How long? Until they could intimidate witnesses? Until they could make this blow over? I really don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. I still don't know what they are thinking. The crown princely couple and Marius, and the entire royal house, for that matter. But anyway, yes, so was he actually going to go to rehab, but then got arrested? Do not know. Continuing with the article, the Swedish royal house expert Johan Lindvall describes the situation as incredibly serious. This is just another link in this disaster and collapse around Marius, the entire royal house, and above all, the crown prince couple. I am sad, but at the same time not surprised. There are new cases all the time around him, says Lindvall to Dagbladet. Protects Marius. He believes that the royal house has made the wrong assessment in terms of how they comment on the matter. They are completely wrong. They should be completely transparent, and they should come out and tell what is happening, he says, and adds, Mette-Marit should explain why she protects Marius. She would have gained sympathy and empathy if she told that she is a mother, a desperate mother, while at the same time she cannot separate herself from her role as the country's crown princess and the country's future queen. And that's Johan Lindvall, the editor of Svensk Damtidning. Oh, I massacred that. I apologize to the Swedish people and every speaker of the Swedish language, which I'm sorry. I do try. Crown Prince Haakon, 51, has previously spoken to the press about the Hoiby case. At the latest, on Tuesday afternoon, he referred to the accusations as serious to NRK. And today, of course, we are thinking of all those affected. Then the police must be allowed to do their job. And I have confidence that they will do that in a good way, said Crown Prince Haakon, adding, maybe I can add today that I would like to be at home with Mette today. I miss her. I think Haakon might be a little too hung up on Mette. I don't think that would be the best. I want to be with my wifey today. I want to be with my wife. Okay, but you're to be the king, supposedly one day. You've got to handle things on your own. And of course he would want to be with his wife at a difficult time, but I mean, really. It kind of indicates a bit of a codependence or something, and I do wonder if it is indeed Mette-Marit that is wearing the pants in this family, because I would think that Haakon at some point would say, hey, your son, our son, whatever, can't be running around well, it's not the palace, but Skaugum, the royal residence where Haakon and Mette-Marit live. He can't be partying there. I mean, what we learned in part 1 in previous articles that I read on my earlier stream, part 1 of the scandals of the Norwegian royal family, was that Marius's parties are so legendary among his social set that they call them Skaugum festivals when they go to the residence of the crown prince and princess and party, and they've broken things. People have stolen items of both monetary and sentimental value from the crown princely residence. They tried to fence these things, as we learned from an article that I read on that previous stream. Fortunately, it was the auction was stopped, and I guess the items were recovered. But this is the group of people that Marius has been around, and it isn't just the partying, it isn't just the substances, and it isn't just the, I will say broadly, inappropriate aggression and incredibly inappropriate behavior toward his allegedly against his ex-girlfriends, but it involves ties to very serious international criminal organizations. And, you know, I should find that little image of the Marius Netwerk just to reiterate that for anyone who has not seen the previous stream. I can't go into it in detail, but here, one second, I'm going to pull that image up so you can see that this rabbit hole, that now the latest charge of R against Marius is incredibly serious. It is the most serious charge that has been leveled against him thus far. But the broader milieu, I guess I should say, that he is operating in is very, very serious. Okay, I cannot find that very quickly, but I will, maybe I'll take like a minute break in a little bit, and I'll pull that up just so I can show it. But I'll continue with this article in the meantime. And yes, this is Mette-Marit last night, just hours before her son is about to be arrested. And I don't want to play the video in case there's a licensing issue or whatever. I don't want my stream to get dinged, because that's copyright of the news outlet. But here is Mette-Marit dressed up to go to a concert, and yes, will not answer questions. It says, I don't think we'll take that in the caption. Although I don't know if I should give her credit for showing her face under such difficult circumstances, or if that's just sort of bold and a bit brash, like kind of rude. I don't know. If I were a Norwegian citizen, if I were one of Marius's exes, I don't know how I would feel about this. Probably not too good. Okay, continuing with the article, Royal House expert in Nettavisen, Tove Tallesen, also wants the Royal House to comment on the matter. I have said it many times to the point of boredom, but now there must be a statement from the court. There is no use with no comment. It seems more like a disclaimer than sense, says the Royal House expert to Nettavisen. Tallesen believes that King Harald is now distraught and angry, and believes that Hoiby's lifestyle and choices are a great burden on the royal house. And indeed, they must be. Here is a picture of Marius with his mother, Mette-Marit. She looking tanned and smiley, and he looking like a bit of a zombie. Not super healthy, but honestly, again, he is a 27-year-old, a young adult, still a young adult. I'll give him young, but he is 27 years old. This is not new. They knew. Mette-Marit knew. She has known. If my son looked like that, I would be more concerned about him getting some food, some rest, some sun. Get the dark circles from around his eyes gone? Does she not see this? She is a woman of substance herself, or at least she has been in the past. She is not new to the concept of someone having issues with substances, particularly the substance that her son Marius has been in trouble with. So you mean to tell me you're familiar with substances, you've known people who've been using substances, your son's father was a man convicted of substance crimes, and you're watching your son have this problem, and we let it get to this point? I mean, yes, I understand you can say, but he is an adult. He is an adult who lives rent-free at the moment on a property on his mommy and daddy's estate. And he does not, as the, as the media, the Norwegian media has determined, pardon me, he does not have the money, the income to afford living on that property without mommy and daddy's help. So they've been bankrolling Sonny Boy. They have been helping him. He has a very checkered employment history. We went over this. He's not really had one real, he doesn't have a career. His occupations have been everything from a motorcycle repairman in Norway to the editor-in-chief of a magazine in London that was owned or run or co-founded or what have you by a friend of Marius's bio dad. He basically doesn't do much of anything. He parties. He lives on mommy and daddy's estate. They allow him to have parties and have friendships with people who are involved in criminal organizations, motorcycle gangs that have criminal convictions, organizations involved in trafficking. He's 27. It didn't start yesterday. So, what do they have to say about that? Even the king. You were clueless? No. The security services didn't know? They did. The police knew. We read about that part 1. The police sat Marius down. They told him, you're in trouble. The substances, it's a problem. Your friends, it's a problem. We think you're not just using. We think you're also selling. Of course, he denied that. Okay, continuing the article. It is primarily a personal tragedy for him and his next of kin. While considering his netwerk, I don't think it's merely personal, or primarily personal. Everything about this case is sad. It doesn't seem like Hoiby has control, says Tollison. Oh, I guarantee you that's true. He is out of control. Hoiby was arrested by the police for the 3rd time on Monday evening. According to Dagbladet's information, the arrest must have taken place near Skaugum in Asker. Hoiby was then in a car with the woman who was offended in the original case against them. Right, it was Rebecca, who may or may not be his ex-girlfriend. Is she his current girlfriend? It's all very confusing as to why the woman who was involved in the August incident would be meeting with him now. And it doesn't sound like it was a setup. It doesn't sound like she was working with the police to get him into a location where he could have been arrested. So I am wondering, how did this all come about? International attention. The news about Crown Princess Mette-Marit's eldest son also made headlines around the world on Tuesday. Yes, that's today. The French broadcasting channel BFM TV is among the media that have covered the incident. Arrest of the son of the Princess of Norway is suspected of R. They write on their website. The British tabloid newspaper The Sun refers to it as Royal R. Oh no. While the major German newspaper Bild writes the following. His mother wanted to protect him with all her might, but now the son must appear in court. Marius Borg Hoiby, 27, the son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit, has been arrested on suspicion of R. It is the saddest climax in Marius' life story so far, whose scandals have become increasingly public in recent weeks. The news agency AFP also reports on the new arrest of Hoiby. The 27-year-old son of Norwegian Crown Princess Mette-Marit has been arrested on suspicion of R, writes the news agency. Okay. So, let's see what this says. What's new? Okay, English. Completely the wrong way to go. Yes, more of an attack on the Crown Princess as to why she is staying silent. Well, yes, the royal family has no control. Yes, this is very bad for them. Very bad. They have answered questions. Is this today? Did this happen today? No. Thursday, 12 September. Wow, okay, so this is an old article, and yet it looks like it could be from today. This is 2 months old, from 1 month after the arrest, the first arrest. That is not good. So I guess that's where we're at right now, with the arrest of Marius Borg Hoiby, the son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit, the stepson of Crown Prince Haakon, and the step-grandson of the current King Harald V. And it remains to be seen. This is a developing story. It remains to be seen what will happen. How will this affect the Norwegian royal family? How will this affect the monarchy? will Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Mette-Marit divorce? Well, this would push it to that. I mean, if they were in love with one another, and yet would he be willing to divorce her to save the monarchy, to save his right to succeed to the throne? Haakon was willing to give up his right to become king once before, prior to his marriage to Mette-Marit. Now that they are married, and many years down the road, would he be willing to divorce her for his throne, for the country, for the future of the kingdom? I don't even know. Would he be allowed to step down? Would he want to step down, to remain married to Mette-Marit, to preserve the throne for their daughter, Princess Ingrid, who is, probably not ready yet to take the reins so soon? Of course, King Harald is still alive, and there is no indication as of yet that he is looking to abdicate. But with ill health problems, I mean, it's sort of a, should he stay or should he go? Usually when there are this many problems in a royal house, the monarch looks to take the fall and pass it on to the heir, who can sort of do a better job without the problems that are attached to the previous monarch, such as what happened in Spain with King Juan Carlos, and in Belgium with not King Philippe, his father, King Albert. But in this case, if King Harald were to abdicate, he would only be passing on the crown to an heir that is not clean of problems. The crown prince has more dirt on his hands than the king. The king is has some plausible deniability, I suppose. As I said, he can hide behind his age and infirmity. Not that that's actually a real excuse. It's not at all, but one could use it. It might work. And again, if not for Haakon, his daughter Ingrid is young. Prince Sverre is also very young. And Princess Martha Louisa is sort of out of the picture with her her own business activities, and her second husband, who has accusations of, intimate improprieties related to his both his personal relationships and his professional relationships as a shaman. Unfortunately, I don't have time to get into that story right now. That is what is up next for the Scandals in the Norwegian Royal Family series here on Friendship Empire. And unless more happens with Marius and Haakon and Mette-Marit, I am planning on the next stream going on a deep dive into Princess Martha Louise's second husband, the self-proclaimed shaman, Durek Verrett, his background, his celebrity shamanism, and the controversial relationship, which has now been culminated in a marriage this year to Princess Martha Louisa, and the scandalous headlines that have come out against him, that have now only been eclipsed by this horrendous charge against Marius of allegedly R-ing his possibly girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, current, it's a little unclear, the woman who was involved in the August incident. And with that, I think I will wrap up this stream so that I can take a little time to prepare the next stream. And if you've been listening, I thank you for joining us. This is Friendship Empire. I am the Empress. Please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. And we will be back with more news and information about the Norwegian royal family and even more in the future. So thank you for joining me, and have a good day.